Football is back. It took a while. It kind of didn't look like it would be, but it is back. And the season started with the Chiefs, defending champions, hosting the Houston Texans. And before the game, uh, both anthems performed. They performed. They showed Alicia Keys performing "Lift Every Voice," which is the Black national anthem, and then the Star Spangled Banner was performed. And then the Texans came out and they linked arms to show solidarity against recent racial injustices. And there actually were fans in attendance at Arrowhead, which is one of the reasons why I was excited for the NFL to return because, like I said, the pandemic has put a lot of things in a standstill, and sports was part of it. But when sports did return, but it was without fans in attendance. Baseball and basketball returned in July. Hockey returned on the 1st of August, but all that was with no fans. Football is back with fans. College football games have had some fans in attendance, and that made me believe that we'd see that in the NFL. We already have in some games. So the NFL is basically the first of the main leagues to actually return in this pandemic with people attending, and that to me is going to be the start of things kind of getting back to normal a bit because the 2020 the beginning 2021 should see this whole thing subsided, which would mean we could see fans in NHL games, NBA games, and baseball games next season, and in other public events. It'll be little by little, but we should see that. But as for the game itself, the Chiefs took care of Houston, and maybe Houston should stop scoring first because that doesn't seem to be working for them. We all know what happened the last time they scored the first 24 points in that game against Kansas City, and they ended up losing by 20. How does that happen? It's just amazing. So anyway, the heart, of course, of every week in the NFL is Sunday. And Sunday, a certain goat burned down Minnesota once again. Um, got me 50 fantasy points. At age 36, he still got it. 43-34, that was the final score. A very wild and crazy game, which, as those games usually are. Uh, Kind of reminded me a bit of the Week 16 meeting last season, though Minnesota scored a lot more points, but they came a bit late. The game was kind of out of reach. Um, but speaking of number 12s, speaking of number 12s, another reason why I was excited for the season start was Brady. Brady with the Buccaneers. I never thought he would be out of New England, but there it is. I was one of the few people that thought, well, he's going to come back to the Patriots. I'll believe that when I see it. But there he was in that Buccaneers uniform. It was just a sight to see. I just couldn't believe it. And he's in the NFC. He's in the conference with teams in it. And I've said for the last like 4 or 5 years, Brady would get killed in the NFC. And Sunday has proven me right. Because think about it. Brady was a big fish in a small pond for 20 years. Because the AFC is tepid. The AFC, at least for the last like 10, 15 years, is two teams above the rest, and the others are just awful. Like in Brady's last year, it used to be New England and Pittsburgh, then everybody else. And then Pittsburgh started to quiet a bit, but Kansas City rose up. So it was New England, Kansas City, and then everybody else. And Brady was just the proverbial vulture feasting on dead carcasses, especially the AFC East, because those three teams are awful. But now he's in the real conference, and it's hard to be a proverbial vulture when the proverbial animals actually have a pulse. He is swimming with the sharks in the National Football Conference. There are a lot of hungry predators in that jungle, and the king of that NFC jungle is one Aaron Charles Rodgers. Now, again, that game against the Saints is proving me right so far. Well, no, so far about it's proven me right. Brady would get killed in the NFC. However, as a as a fair man, and I do judge things very fairly when it comes to, well, pretty much everything. Um, he has a chance to disprove my theory. And it's simple. And he's done this before. There's one way for Tom Brady to prove that he can actually survive the NFC. He has to reach the Super Bowl. He doesn't have to win it. He doesn't have to win it. He just has to get there. He has to beat hungry NFC teams in the month of January and get to the Super Bowl. That's simple, isn't it? He's done it before. I mean, he's the supposed. They give Brady a GOAT title that Rodgers has had for 10 years. And Rodgers has actually been through the NFC and won a Super Bowl. Brady hasn't done that yet. He went through nothing in the AFC, and even then he lost 3 Super Bowls to teams he should have beat. So that's it. Just reach the Super Bowl. Otherwise, the narrative stands. And speaking of the NFC, 2 such predators in that conference, Dallas and the Rams. And oh, Dallas. Now you know what we had to deal with McCarthy. I picked Dallas to win the division, and I overlooked the fact that McCarthy's coaching him and he's a bigger idiot than Jason Garrett. But I haven't forgotten that Philly has Carson Wentz as quarterback, and he's the only quarterback who's a bigger idiot than Russell Wilson. So it may even out. Dallas may win the division after all, but it'll be by default. Probably like 9-7, 10-6, and they'll finish about a game or 2 ahead of Philly, who somehow lost to Washington because again, Carson Wentz is an idiot. But yeah, and again, staying on the NFC, the team that won the conference last year, they were on the receiving end of a bad upset. Arizona beat them. And yes, I was one of those Packer fans that had Schadenfreude, because there's only one bye per conference now, and we need every leg up over San Francisco as possible, and that includes November 5th. So far, after 1 week, and it's only 1 week, there's 16 left, and there's 15 games left. But after week 1, we're up 1. We have a win. We have a conference win. San Francisco has neither, though they play the Jets next week, so that'll be their first win, even without Kittle. That's if he's out. In other actions, the Chargers-Bengals game ended in heartbreaking fashion. Poor Bengals, that poor kicker. Was about to force overtime, but the poor guy gets injured during the kick, and it goes wide. I felt for it. Of course, I love kickers. Kickers are important, no matter what people say. But we got two Monday night games ended the week. Big Ben returned, first game since week 2 last year, and we took care of business against the Giants. And Tennessee beat Denver despite their kicker, an ex-Patriot, Steven Gostkowski, missing 3 field goals and an extra point. I can't believe that. How do you lose to a team like that? Their kicker, they lost a grand total of 10 points with those missed kicks, but they still won. That shouldn't happen. But yeah, it was a crazy ending to a wild week 1. And if this is how the NFL season is going to go in this crazy year, I welcome it. And that's my recap of week 1 of the NFL season, the 2020 NFL season. What's in store for us week 2? Well, week 2 begins with the Battle of Ohio. On Thursday, it's Cincinnati at Cleveland. Joe Burrow, the number 1 draft pick, still looking for his first win as an NFL quarterback. As I said, the Packers host the Lions. The Cowboys play their home opener in Dallas. I still can't believe Dallas reached the Stanley Cup final, and I kind of joked on Twitter. Jerry Jones has to be livid. You mean to tell me Dallas can win a Stanley Cup? We can't win a Super Bowl. We're America's team. We need to go all the way. But um, yeah. So as I said, the Packers host Detroit. Cowboys host Atlanta. The Niners are at MetLife facing the Jets. Um, the 1-0 Rams are in Philly to face the Eagles. Pittsburgh plays their home opener against Denver, a Denver team that, ugh, is just sick. The Washington football team, the only team in the NFC East to win, they face the team that upset San Francisco, and that's something. Uh, the defending champs, the defending champs go to Sophie Stadium. That's the big new stadium. That's where the Rams Cowboys game was Sunday. They go to Sophie Stadium and face the Chargers. Uh, Ravens and Houston play each other. Of course, these aren't all the games listed, but more the important ones, the ones that stand out. The Sunday night game is New England and Seattle. By the way, congrats to Cam Newton. Uh, he got his first win as Patriots quarterback. They really upgraded. They really upgraded quarterback. Scored 2 touchdowns, not one but two, but beat the Dolphins. They'll go to Seattle for Sunday Night Football at NBC, and the Monday night game is the Saints against the Las Vegas Raiders. Yes, Las Vegas. We have to get used to that now, and they won. They won on Sunday, so congrats to them. The Las Vegas Raiders getting the win in Charlotte against the Panthers. So yeah, that's what's in store for us on week 2. And with that, I say this is going to be one hell of an NFL season. So I suggest you enjoy it responsibly. Get your proverbial seatbelts fastened. And I'll say until next week, football fans.